Good morning, gang. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to this week's Bitcoin update. First and foremost, remember nothing discussed today is financial advice. It's just for educational purposes only, and it's my view of the markets. And now we've got that out of the way, let's jump into the Bitcoin chart. So I've not got long today, gang, so I'm going to keep this video short and sweet. Do me a favour, if you appreciate the free content, go down below, hit that like button for me. You know, the usual YouTuber stuff. Right, here we go. So, following on from last week, we obviously, last time we made a video, we would have been here on this Thursday here. Obviously, we had two fairly strong down days, and then before turning around to where we are right now. Now, obviously, this all started because of the monthly open within August. Okay, so if we flick back to here, we can see here, I was saying this last time, we had this monthly open up here, and obviously, that's what effectively led to the big sell-off. Now, obviously, I talked about this sell-off quite extensively last week. Basically, what had been happening during this, and from an order flow trader like I am and the guys in our group, it's fairly simple. There were no longs at all to be had in any of this. Obviously, every aggressive long that was made, obviously every long at market just kept getting absorbed by limit, and it just carried on rolling over. Okay, so obviously I know a lot of people got destroyed in that, and hopefully you learned something from last week's video. Now, moving into this week, the same thing I am kind of looking at again with monthly open, funnily enough. So if I move this down here, in fact, I've already got this on my chart, so let's just bring it up with the opens. There we go. Right, I'm not bothered about daily open. Let's get rid of that. And let's get rid about weekly open for the time being. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Right, so zoom out to the daily. So it's a very similar scenario again. Now, bear in mind, this is a 6-month range. Okay, this has been going on for quite some time now. 6-month range. So the monthly opens are quite important at the moment, in my opinion. And as you could see, obviously with the last one, it was significant, was the monthly open. Okay, so right now where we've got local resistance above us, it is around the monthly open. Now, it's a bit of a zone, is this. Now, obviously, if you understand how I trade, you understand that I'm not really focused on absolute set levels because we've got a bit of a zone. Okay, now for me, the biggest resistance that bulls have got to get across is between here. Okay, so we've got a region around this monthly open. Okay, now why is this so important? Well, quite simply, if we scroll back to all this price action that was going on here, this slow bleed environment, once again, that screwed a lot of people over, if we throw it on a volume profile into this, okay, that led to the sell-off, you can see here. So obviously right through the center of this, we've got a really nice point of control, okay, and that's a naked point of control. We also have genuine naked point of controls as well. If we zoom out and we start looking at this chart, we can see here we've got a naked point of control here. This is coming in at roughly 59.3, and then we've got another one just above at 60k, okay. So obviously 60k round psychological number. Crypto bros love the psychological round numbers. I'm not going to make the same joke as I normally do. But obviously we've got this one here at 59.3. So obviously all within this zone. Okay, so we've got high confluence zone here. So the first major resistance that bulls have got to get across is this one here. So obviously from my point of view, from a trader's perspective, I don't care if we go that way or that way. Don't forget that. I'm not a crypto maxi. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I don't care. I will make money up or down. So the first thing we've got to flip is this. So obviously if we do come up into this and start to reject, start to break some structure, start to show some genuine weakness, then yeah, there's a short trigger within that, okay? However, if bulls can flip this 60k mark, okay, big round number, 60k, if bulls can flip that, then we can start looking at a bit more upside, okay? So locally, this is kind of the main wall that people need to get past, okay? If you are bullish, that's your major resistance level, okay? If you're bearish, there's an opportunity there, okay? Now, outside of that, then it just comes about zooming out and throwing on the old range again. So, where's this range? There we go. Nice and easy. Now, obviously, this range still in play. I updated this for you guys last week. You saw that. So, if we do manage to flip this zone here, okay, this move down was quite thin. Okay, so therefore, on the flip side of that, just like I'm always taking the piss, when the price goes up in a straight line, it can obviously come straight back down in a straight line. The same can be said about this zone here. Yes, there are a couple of individual naked point of controls in there from a daily perspective, but there's not really that much in terms of resistance. So if you can start flipping this 60k region, then realistically we can start looking back up towards this EQ. Now obviously at that EQ we have one big thing to be aware of, and that would be the macro point of control, okay, which is actually just above the EQ. So this is coming in at 67k, so you've got quite a big zone here. Okay, I would expect if you're a low time frame trader, you will understand this. If you're not a low time frame trader, you probably won't understand this. But obviously if you manage to get above these highs here, yes, low time frame, it's likely going to cause a pullback. Why is it going to cause a pullback? Well, because you're going to trigger some people's stop losses. Anyone that was shorting up here that still haven't taken profit or moved the stops to entry or been trailing, for example, the stop losses are going to be above here. Okay, so obviously if you do poke above there, low time frame, yes, you're going to have a pullback. Okay, is this a place I'd be breakout long trading? No, because I'm not daft. Okay, so obviously if you can then start flipping this EQ, getting above this after potentially a pullback, then obviously you've got your 67k. Okay, can't ignore the 67k. That is the macro point of control, and as I've said time and time again, this range has gone on for over 6 months, so it's a big point of control. Okay, but if bulls can start to flip that and get above this, then realistically the odds start favouring upside. Okay, does it mean it's going to go there? No, but it starts to favour it, because then we start in the top portion of the range. Okay, so if we do flip this next major boss level, obviously value area high, these highs here. Okay, flip that, then you start looking at these highs here. Still going to be liquidity there. Okay, flip that, then yeah, we can start looking at all-time highs most likely. Now once again, that doesn't mean I've been longing up here, because I'm not an idiot. Okay, and this is what your influencers, this is what your 12-year-old kids are going to tell you to. If price goes above 73k, then you market long 100x. No, you don't. So that's how you lose your money, because it's quite simply could just pop up, pop back below, and come back down. And therefore, just continuation of the range. We trade it until it breaks. One side will eventually give way. Does that mean that if it pops up above here and starts getting to, 74, 75, I'm just going to market short that? No. Because I'm not going to short into strength. I'm going to wait to see weakness. And then I'm going to short. Okay? That's what you got to do. Obviously, I'm going to repeat what I've always been saying. God knows how long now. 77k is still a sticky zone, in my opinion. Okay, so obviously if it does pop up and then come back down and get back into here, something to be aware of. You start flipping 77k, then realistically, yes, we can start looking at the higher targets in the bullish Elliott Wave counts. So that's upside. Each one of these really needs to be paid attention to. It's not a case of FOMO longing. Just protect your capital, okay? You long the pullbacks if the trend is going to continue. Now, in terms of downside risk, realistically, we've not created that much support structure within this. So I'm not going to point out any levels within this. The guys in the group know that there's a couple of minor levels within there, but I'm not really that interested if I'm being honest. So if it does start to break down, okay, whether that be from here or higher up, if it does start to break down, then realistically, there's not that much holding it up. Okay, so your main targets then become this low, first and foremost. Do we get a simple swing failure pattern? Maybe. We don't know. We don't know how it's going to come down there. I don't have a crystal ball. Do we get something like this to work with? Great, cool. Maybe something low time frame. If not, then realistically, this then becomes a real priority. These major lows, big dominant low that caused a really big spike, okay? But obviously this dominant low was created after a really significant sell-off. Obviously this happened across the stock market and crypto. So obviously, do we come down here? Just, take it out nice and simple. Yeah, fair enough. If not, when we start looking at lower prices. Now, lower prices, exactly what I've been saying for the past 6 months. All we have to do, zoom out, throw it on a daily chart, throw your volume profile on from your absolute bottom to your top, and you can see where the volume is. Okay, so quite simply, if it comes down lower and we don't get any sort of reaction around these major lows down here, then I'm just going to be looking in this zone here. Quite simply, around yearly open. Okay, it's a big zone. Yeah, it's a big zone. But what I want to do is I want to have an alert set, like you can see here. I've got alert set. Have an alert set. When price comes in to that area, or should I say, if price comes into that area, then does it give me a setup? Does it give me some sort of market structure break? Does it give me something to work with? Okay, on a lower sort of time frame, something like an hour, maybe a 4 hour. Okay, then I've got something to work with. If it doesn't, let it go further. Great, no problem. Doesn't really bother me. Once again, up, down. It's no difference when you're a trader. you still profit from both directions. So if this zone doesn't hold, then we start looking at zones lower. Okay, where's that zone lower going to be? Well, it's pretty obvious. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. Nothing much has changed. While we are still grinding like this, grinding lower lows, lower highs, the odds are in favour of downside. High time frame, downside. However, that starts to look stronger if we can flip that 60k level and start getting above here. Then it starts changing around. Because for once, instead of making lower highs and lower lows, we're then potentially starting to make a higher high. So then it starts looking bullish. Okay? But for now, still cautious, still playing level to level. I'm not aggressively holding on to any position in any direction. I still hold on to my swing shorts. But aside from that, yeah, that is what it is. So hopefully you've learned something out of today's video. If you have, do me a favour, hit that like button. And until next time, gang, as you were, bye-bye.